Hi, everyone. I'm Lorri and I'm here with Stefanie Cruz, and I'm so grateful and honored to have her on the Empowered Boss Lady series. I thought of Stefanie just because she has been such a role model for me, very inspirational woman, and everything from an author to a mompreneur to a local TV and news anchor for 20 years. That's a long
I
time. And then you've covered all kinds of amazing stories, including 9/11
Mm-hmm.
and ground. I'm reporting from ground zero. That had to be an intense experience. I'm reporting on immigration and NAFTA, and environmental issues, and um, and you've been nominated for several Emmy awards. Just incredible. And then some of the other things that I did not know about you. I knew that you wrote a book, and it's called Delta and Dawn, and it was the story of the baby whale that made its way up to the Sacramento River, right?
Yes, this was in 2007, and a mother and baby whale swam the wrong way from the Pacific Ocean into the bay, all the way up here to Sacramento. It's about 90 miles. And it was incredible because so many people came together to help them find their way out.
Wow. And then you wrote a book, a children's book about it.
I did because it was a mother and a baby, and at the time my son was
Oh,
3, and they never left each other's side. So
oh my gosh. It's just
that unconditional love. So he inspired me, and the whales did. But it was a fun project.
yeah, that sounds like it was. I was really surprised. I would love to see you write another one because that book is so cute. And then I know
Thank you so much.
so we'll talk about that a little bit later, but I wanted to also say that you're also a member of my sister's house. Tell us more about that because I didn't know. And we were talking before we popped on here, and you didn't know that I had domestic violence in my background, that I was actually a victim, and I hate to say victim, but I was had that in my life, my history. So tell me more about that and how you ended up getting involved with my sister's house.
I've been involved with my sister's house in various ways, most recently the board of directors since 2006, pretty much since we moved
Wow.
out here. And it has been very important because I think it's one of those discussions or issues that we should normalize, like mental health. You should be able to talk about it freely and get help if you need it.
Mhm.
And my sister's house is focused on the Asian Pacific Islander community because there are cultural and language barriers. And growing up, I saw a lot of that where women would be in abusive relationships, but the culture dictates that you should keep it within the family, not complain, don't go to the police, don't seek help because
Mhm.
um, the role of the woman in a lot of Asian Pacific Islander communities is to be submissive and docile and to just accept that that is what you've married into, and it's
Wow.
not right.
Wow, that's amazing. And you've been involved for 14 years.
Hmm.
That's a long time. And that's something that's near and dear to your heart. And then we were on Good Day Sacramento. That's how we met.
Yes, Mama Boot Camp,
My
many,
mom,
many years ago.
many years ago. So tell us all the interesting nooks and crannies and things that you're doing now, because I know you've been a mentor for a lot of women in the area, and being on this Empowered Boss Lady series. What I love to see the transitions of how our lives go. So tell us more about what you're doing now.
And I said I'd keep it real. So you can ask whatever, and I'll try and answer it. But this is amazing that you are hosting this because we all need to lift each other up. And it's been such a long year, and we have so many roles that we play as
Mhm.
mothers and as wives and as professional women that I think is
Absolutely.
so important. I worked in news for 20 years, and I've been out for about 4. And I'll be honest, I was not renewed at my previous station. I was at Good Day Sacramento for 6 years, and then I
Mhm.
was at Fox 40. And I loved the 20 years and all the time I spent in it.
Mhm.
It was amazing. But it was time for a change. And it's so funny because the universe, God tells you, even if you
Mhm.
aren't ready to hear it, that it's time for change. And so
Mhm.
was I going to continue with this career? And in TV news, you move and you move and you move and you apply for jobs. And I realized at that point that it would become this cycle of, okay, I'll sign a 3-year contract and see at the end of the 3 years if they still like me enough to
Mm-hmm.
keep me on. And
Wow.
you could be performing the same way you always have. And it's not a knock on the industry, it's just the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
I decided I love Sacramento. We do as a family, and that I wanted to remain here. And after TV news, I worked at the state for a few months just to try and figure out exactly where I wanted to land.
Mm-hmm.
And I hooked up with another amazing woman, Laura Cole, who runs Cole Pro Media.
Mm-hmm.
And I work as a media consultant, and we help law enforcement agencies with their communication strategies.
Wow,
So
that sounds like a great job. And you're working with another boss lady.
I'm working with,
So,
she's very inspirational. So it's exactly that. Um, we're able to collaborate on ideas, and it's very open, and we support each other. And I think that's exactly how it should be. I'm still learning. I'm 46 years old, and I am learning so much all the time, and I love that.
and that sounds like you've dovetailed right into the perfect place for yourself. But you also were kind of telling me some other things that you may be doing as well. You're involved
Yeah.
in the arts, and you also have something that might be happening in 2021 as well. So share some of those really fun things.
So I started my LLC, which is 2Gs, Grant and Grace, 2Gs LLC. And right now what I'm doing is I've hired some artists and local artists. There's a robust, just a rich art scene in Sacramento that we don't, I don't think they get enough credit or highlighted enough. And so we're creating a space for them to show their art, which is to be determined where and when. But I've met so many interesting people that I would have not met 5, 6 years ago. And this is something that when I was working in news, never would have thought, well, let me just go out there and find a curator and artist and do something really fun and creative. But I love that sometimes when you feel like you've hit a setback, really it just opens your world up to so many different, it's scary, but it just, the possibilities are wonderful.
And you said something too, because a lot of women are even because you're so self-assured and you're so self-confident, and people would never even think that you have self-doubts, that. And so you brought up, having to move into a different direction after, wanting on being on the news. And so tell us about that. Like, how did you move through that emotionally and regain, did you find that it was a challenge, or was it kind of an easy transition for you?
No, it's not easy. And when I say that, it was definitely, I'm very blessed. And I had the support of my husband and my family. And I say it was more of an internal struggle, because what happens is you work in TV. I mean, let's face it, you're in it. It is, even at the local level, it's high profile. And you're on every day. People watch you, right? And so you're built up to believe that you're special to some degree, right? And I don't want to say that I ever fully bought into that. Excuse me, I got like hair in my eye. But when you leave that and you have identified with that for so long, start asking, well, okay, who am I without this to define me? It becomes a process of, do people really like me for who I am, or who are my friends in all of this? It's, I think everybody goes through, and this is not, I don't mean to sound like this is some huge crisis. It isn't, but it's, I think, certainly a time for growth and change.
Yeah.
And it can be tough when you have to look inward and say, okay, now I'm going to figure out what my second act is in life. What am I going to do? And it's actually exhilarating to go through that.
I know, I'm excited about your projects coming up. I think that sounds like so much fun. I will be there. It just sounds like, and it sounds like it's uplifting and a positive spin on things, especially pulling in the local artist. I had no idea that you were connected to that. And so I wanted to ask you, what is the biggest challenge that you've encountered since COVID has started, and what has been your biggest aha?
Since COVID had started, I think that like many people, um, I took for granted the fact that I could walk into a store or a restaurant or spend time with friends or go on a trip. And
Mhm.
sounds like first world problems, but yeah, I fell into a little funk, and I think a lot of people do,
Mhm.
and I still do. There are times where I'm like, wow, when is this going to end?
Mhm.
But I have also learned to cherish the time that I have with my family at home, and I'm going to miss that once everything is
Mhm.
we're back out there in the world again. But we've learned to go for evening walks and bike rides and really
Mhm.
connect with each other in a way that we didn't before. And so
And
that's been a gift
how many kids do you have? You have
to a 16 and an 11-year-old.
16.
I
Wow.
know.
And boys or girls?
The older one's a boy, and
Mhm.
then my 11-year-old's a girl.
Oh, very, very cool.
Yeah.
That's so fun. It is. It's special. It really is special time that you are not going to have back again. And so with you moving now, we're moving into a little bit of a shift, and you have the doors are opening again. What do you envision for yourself towards the end of the year, beginning of January, moving into 2021?
I would like to, well, really solidify the plan with the artists and have that
Mm-hmm.
space and be able to launch that next year. And then can really start this journey with you actually in Mama Boot Camp and go on the retreats and what have you. And that's really
Mm-hmm.
important. And I think also being at this point in my life, and I don't want to say that I look at it as like the latter half of my life, but I think, you get to a point
Mm-hmm.
where you're like, I have to do things the way I want
I'm
to do.
feeling that. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
feeling that. Yeah.
Are you?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want to dive in. I want to dive into my life even more because I
Yes.
know that time is limited, and I want to use it intentionally. So I totally relate with what you're saying.
It's
Mm-hmm.
a freeing thing to realize that I'm going to work and do things what I want to do and how I want
Mm-hmm.
to do it. And that sounds strange because we all, listen, you work and you make a living and you've got bills to pay. But I want to make sure that when I wake up in the morning and I go to work, it's a job that I believe in and that I
Mm-hmm.
enjoy and that is
Mm-hmm.
purposeful.
Mm-hmm.
And that yeah, and then at the end of the day, the energy is not sucked out of me. That
Mm-hmm. That
and
makes sense. And
yeah,
so are you saying that that when you because you are still have this entrepreneurial spirit, and I think you're the one who coined the phrase mompreneur.
yes. Well, that was
You
it in Sacramento.
yeah, you coined that phrase. You started that whole idea, and you still have this entrepreneurial spirit. And so when somebody that was a part of this series earlier, she had a big dream of going to the Olympics, and people would laugh at her and would say, that doesn't seem very realistic, and so she didn't have a lot of support. And I know we as women, a lot of times when we have big dreams, you don't want to, I always say, cast your pearls before swine, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way, but I just,
Yeah.
if you share your special dreams and then somebody poo-poos on them, it can send you back to the couch. So and then we have our own internal voices as well. So
hmm
what do you do with self-doubt or naysayers?
I try to, I think more than anything. So my grandfather was an immigrant, and my father was as well. And I look at how far they've come and what they've done. They've been successful, and um, they came from third world countries, the Philippines, right? And
Wow.
so I'm able to look back on that and go, well, if they could do it, I can do anything. Like they set the groundwork really, and nothing's insurmountable. We all have
Mhm.
bad days,
Mhm.
but really for me, it's I think having a core, a good group of people, solid friendships, and family, and really trying to focus on values,
Mhm.
and that sort of has that's guided me.
And when you say values, because that's one of the things I talk a lot about, like, are your values like entwined in your day? I've heard you say family, so that's probably one of your core values, and friendships is probably another one. What would you say your top five core values are?
Um, Family, friends, a good work ethic. I really believe in that. Being creative, um, and giving back to the community. Was that 4 or 5?
That's
Okay.
5. That's 5. That's awesome. That's really, and you're showing that by your walk. So you're probably feeling really fulfilled. I mean, you're all the things that you're doing. So what's the favorite part of your day?
Favorite part of my day is right now it's my son's going to be driving soon, but I like picking them up from school. I like
Ah,
seeing their little faces, and I don't get to do it every day, but I love that. That
yeah.
just makes my heart so
Oh,
happy to see their little faces.
I so get that. That when all of mine were out of the house, I would walk by the rooms and I would have to shut the door. I would just start. So I totally relate to
Yeah.
that. That's very special. And then what would you say is the part of your day that you go, gosh, I could just do without?
I'm not a morning person.
Hmm.
So boot camp at 5:30 would be a real thing, Lori,
That's why
because
we have 6 p.m.
but that point of the day, as you know, it's
Mm,
you've got you're settling down with the kids, it's homework, it's dinner time.
mhm.
I'm not a
Yeah.
morning person, so I
Mhm.
generally I don't really get going until about 10 a.m. mentally, right? So
Yeah.
when I worked at
Yeah.
Good Day and we were there at 4 a.m., everybody would be upbeat and happy, like happy. And I'm the person that needed like the ramp up. Like, please don't talk to me until we hit about 5 o'clock, and then I'll
Mhm.
smile, crack a smile by 6.
That is so funny because it's like 9 p.m. for me is midnight. That's midnight for me.
Oh, so you are
I'm
early
the
bird.
opposite.
Oh my gosh, that's
That's
so fun.
that's so funny. And so I wanted to ask you, do you have a morning routine, even if it's a little later, that sets the intention for the day, or do you have an evening routine?
In the morning, I usually try to stretch as soon as I get up, and part of
Mm-hmm.
that is just because I'm getting older and I'm noticing things creaking that
Mm-hmm.
feel
Mm-hmm.
tighter, all these little things. So I try to do that and say a prayer in the morning, gratitude, and then at night, I like to we have dinner together because usually we're running in all different directions. We try to at least connect at the end of the day and then settle down with Grace and my daughter and I like to play these online games. So we'll do that for about 10 minutes and then read, sometimes dive into some Netflix, whatever. Netflix is the thing right now. I don't know if you're watching it. Do you watch Netflix right now?
Yeah, we're, believe it or not, my husband and I like to unwind. I like to unwind to Criminal Minds. I don't know why. I don't know why. I love, I love a good mystery, and I love
Oh
all
my
of the,
God.
yeah, I know that's kind of crazy to unwind it in date, and I like Dateline, and I don't
Yeah,
know, yeah, and I know that's
how
not very,
stressful.
yeah, it's not very uplifting or positive, and I sleep like a baby, so I don't know.
Oh, that's
Isn't that
hilarious.
so funny? I know it's kind of, but I just, I run hard through my day and then I'm ready to hit the pillow. And so Criminal Minds, I don't know, it just kind of distracts me, gets my mind off of all the things going on. So for you guys, that's really great that you have a tradition of having a family dinner.
We
That's
try to.
so nice. Is your father in the local area?
They're in the Bay Area, so most of my family's there, and I do not. I like visiting the Bay Area, but traffic and just
Yeah.
there's so much with it. We love Sacramento.
Yeah, I love Sacramento too. It's a great city. And then, so if you can do anything like you envision where you're going to be 5 years from now.
Hmm.
So 5 years, your 16-year-old will be 21
It'll
and
be
your 11-year-old be 16, right? So almost out of high school. I know, I'm sorry. I'm just fast forwarding you. I want you to take a little time capsule trip with me. Where do you envision yourself? What would you envision your life looking like?
uh, so my husband and I have been married 20 years, and as you know, you have 3 kids. You spend a large portion of that raising children. It's this routine, and it's wonderful.
Mhm,
But I'd like to reconnect and be when we were
mhm,
younger, we talked about, well, we'll go wine tasting every weekend, or we'll do this, we'll make meals and pair it with wine, and I'll read 10 books a year or whatever it is, right? Like I want
mhm,
to do some of that stuff again and travel to the places we
mhm.
talked about. and still work, but have more of those moments with him.
Oh, that's so special. That's, there aren't a lot of couples who say that about one another. And I love hearing that you have that gift. I feel that way about my husband. I'm really very grateful. Took me a long time to find him. I was 42 when I found him.
Really?
Yeah, and he's been with me and the kids. So we've been married now for 15 years.
That's amazing.
So, yeah.
It is a gift, really, to find that. And it's not perfect by any means, as you know.
No.
But as long as I think you still, same value system, have the same goals, and that is a priority. Even when, COVID, oh my gosh, that's the other thing, what I would say.
Oh, yeah.
This is a lot of together time.
Yeah.
We had to reframe that because I said, either we're bored with each other sometimes. I mean,
Right.
And I don't mean to make it sound like, but it's the same thing over and over, but I really try to reframe it like, no, it's quality time.
I think that's so special. Really, really. I love seeing other happy couples. It makes my heart happy. Okay, so I'm going to do some rapid fire questions.
Okay.
So any words of wisdom for your younger self? Like if you could talk to your younger self, what would you say to her? Like anything you think that she would need to hear?
I think that she would need to hear to be patient, more patient with herself and people. Yeah, I think that's it. I was not a very patient person in my younger years. Yeah.
And then how do you recharge?
I love to spend time with my friends and girl talk and not talk about kids necessarily, but I love to just laugh and spend time with them and discover new things.
And you talked about loving artists. Or do you have a creative flair? And if you do, what would that be?
I don't, strangely enough.
Really? You just
work with these artists, but no, I like to write. I do like to write still, and that's creative. So I try to keep a journal, and I just try to be involved in as many activities as possible that I think, I just fill my heart. But no, I'm not a very creative person. I always need help. I have to go to Pinterest and I ask people all the time, like, does this photo go okay here? Is this I don't know. Are you creative?
I love words. I love the power of words.
Yeah.
So and I always envision the show with Emmy where she was doing the pottery wheel. I've always wanted to do that.
Yeah,
her husband or her boyfriend at the time. Maybe that's what it was. But I always envisioned that the pottery. I've always wanted to I love working with my hands.
Yeah.
So I would think that the pottery wheel just feels like it would feel good. I'm a very texture person, so I think that would be really fun. Are you ocean or mountains?
Ocean. I just love, yes, the sound of it, and it looks endless to me. Like
any ocean in particular, or?
I love going up to Mendocino County, right? Where you go to Southern, I love it all, but Southern California, get the beach, there's a lot of people. I like the solitude. I really do.
And are you a dog or cat person?
We have a dog. I've had both, but right now we're dog people. More of a dog.
And what was the last book that you read?
The last book, I'm reading one right now. I'm just about done. It's called I'm Not Who You Think I Am by Miley Tom. And she was the first chief of staff at state capitol here in California, Asian woman, and really broke a lot of barriers through the 60s and 70s.
Wow, that sounds so interesting. Are you a member of a book club?
I'm not. Do you know of a good book club?
No, I don't. Maybe we should start one.
You should, because I've gone online, like, are there book clubs? And I don't want it to be awkward and contrived, but I'm like, I would love to be in a book club.
I know, me too. We'll have to talk about that offline.
Yes. That's just another project for it.
It's another project for us. Favorite binge food?
Oh, gosh. Well, it's not really I'm like, I like wine, but I don't necessarily binge on it. I like pizza.
Pizza, okay. And And if you could take a person or a thing on a desert island, now I know you said you like solitude, so maybe you would like to just take something like a cozy blanket or a bottle of wine, but what would you like to bring on? And you could go be on a desert island, would be a person or a thing? And if either one, what would it be?
I'd bring my journal, and I'd bring some good books to read and
Awesome.
hiking shoes.
Hiking shoes, I love that. And then do you have any things that we would find surprising about you, and maybe an eccentric habit or something that we think would be kind of funny, or anything that you do that is kind of quirky?
I'm a little neurotic, and my husband says that I'm odd all the time because he's like, "You're just an odd one." Like, I know. Surprised I have any friends. I like things very, very organized. And I used to have problems because I do have OCD, leaving the home without things being like, I notice fingerprints on the countertop or things out of place. But and it's not as bad, but I have a thing about that. I notice, oh, look at this stray piece of paper. Why is this here? What purpose does that serve?
I'd love to have you at my house. Have you come over and help me with I love organization. I'm just not very organized. So I love.
You aren't?
No, but I want to be. I want to be more organized.
Well, I have a colored calendar. See, it's my planner, and it's all color coded with I know.
That's awesome. I should show mine.
Problems.
I have colored pens, but my calendar does not look like yours. It does not. It is a hot mess. But I understand it. So if anybody gets their hands on my calendar, they'll never be able to read it. So that's a good thing. So movie, are you sci-fi, mystery, romance, comedy? What kind of movies do you like to watch?
I've been into lately more documentaries, docu-series.
Like what? Who do you watch about?
Okay, so I'm like, I don't go to the theater very often, but I just finished this a series on Netflix about the Challenger explosion.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was fascinating because, I mean, for someone my age, I was in grade school, but no, it's not in grade school, middle school, high school, remember the Challenger when it exploded?
Yeah,
it was sort of like, and it obviously was like our Kennedy moment, wherever you remember where you were when you heard about it. I was in science class. And so I like those kinds of stories.
Oh my gosh, you're just such a fascinating person. I feel like we're having girlfriend time, and I just am so grateful that you popped on the Empowered Boss Lady series with me, because you are definitely, I mean, I always say empowered women empower women, and you definitely do. And I see that through all the threads that you've shared with us today on this interview. And so we were talking about, is there anything that you want to share at the end of this? Do you want people to follow you on social media? Did you want to offer anything, or do you feel like you're just sharing yourself?
If you follow me on social media, then I'll have more details and information about the project that I'm working on, because I would love for people to come out and see the work these artists have put together. They've been working on these projects for about a year, and so
that's very cool.
Yes.
So you're going to be teasing us with this project that you're going now on. What is your name? Stefanie Cruz on Instagram?
Yes. And on Facebook as well.
And do you share primarily on both those two social media channels?
I do. I look at TikTok every so often. Do you?
I'm not a TikToker because I think I'm so awkward. Like I wouldn't know how to do all the dance.
I wouldn't either.
I mean, this is me dancing, so, so it's not. I mean, I would be doing like push-ups or something, because
you'd be great on TikTok. Add a little music to that, but yeah, that's a platform that I will pop on and look at every so often, but I just don't get it. I can't wrap my head. I don't think that way, and I think that's a generational thing.
I know. My son, my oldest son, is big on TikTok, and I'm trying. He's encouraging me, but I haven't jumped on there yet. But I want all of our followers for them to be looking for you on Instagram, Stefanie Cruz, and it's with Stefanie, and then Cruz, just like it sounds, Cruz. And then also on Facebook, and she'll be sharing some really fun. She told me what it is, but I'm not going to tell you what it is. So you'll have to follow her as she throws out teases every now and again. And so thank you again for being on here. It was just delightful. You're a ray of sunshine, and I appreciate you sharing all of these goodies with us.
Thank you for creating a platform for women. I'm so excited for this, Brianne. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, I'll give you more details on when we're releasing here in just a minute. So thank you, and have a wonderful night.
You too.